Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of MTG Study Hall Social Distancing Edition. I think I'm going to say that instead of quarantine because we aren't technically in quarantine. So, I am one of your hosts, Brett. I am joined, as always, by JC, Lily, and Dave. And before we launch into it, we've got a lot to talk about. Tam is going to take care of some bookkeeping for us.
Absolutely. So if you like the show, you can go out and support us on patreon.com/TCGUniversity. Get the show early, get it ad-free. But if you don't have any bucks to toss, that's totally chill. You can catch the whole show live out on iTunes or podcast services around the globe, as well as YouTube. That's the name of that platform, YouTube.
Yes.
If you want other content and you're not super into podcasts, we've also got matches and profiles and live content. You can catch that out on twitch.tv/TCGUniversity. And I want to give a big shout out to all of the awesome patrons. We got a couple more this week. So we've got Addie, Andrew Dang, Anthony Albino, Bryce Rathsack, Chris Miner, Clay Cardwells, Jay Rogers, Jarrett Hubbard, John Stone, Justin Farst, Kat Maria, Kevin Broberg, Kieran Vision, Lucinda Letica, Oke Mawa, Paul Casagrande, Peyton Kiker, Samantha Stevens, the baddest bitch around, Sean O'Brien, Theodore Ruiz, and Tyler Zampees. Thank you so much, you guys, for helping us keep the lights on.
We got a few new names on there, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Hell yeah!
Oh, fabulous! Thank you so much. I believe.
Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah. I just was like, I thought I heard some of those names there.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. And I want to say, if my last name was Rathsack, I would talk about that's the best last name I've ever heard. Don't make me open the Rathsack. Oh my God, I wish that was my last name. I have a pretty cool last name.
And lastly, thanks you to our sponsors, Nuclear Inked Custom Tattoo Skate Shop, Cards Custom Build, Inked Gaming, and Dex Protection. But we'll talk about those later.
Oh yes, thank you, Tam. And sorry for my last name commentary in the middle of your ad read. Okay, we've got a lot to cover. We were pretty riled. I was pretty riled in the pre-show, and I feel like I might stay a little riled because we have some riling topics. Before we do that and get riled or maintain riled, let's talk about what we've done in Magic this past week. Dave, what have you been doing?
I've been enjoying Lurrus while I still can.
Fair.
That'll be a tie-in for later on. So.
Yes.
But yeah, it's more Lurrusing. Did 2 Or the Spark drafts, and man, fuck that format. It's just weird. Like so many bad beats.
Yeah, that limited format was weird. I did not click with that one that much. Okay, Lily, what have you been doing?
Brawl, playing Kinnan a lot because it's so much fun to play and probably not to have played against you. Other than that, flavor text with Ray.
Yes,
for the custom set, of course.
I look to my right and I often see the card editor program open and see the flavor texting. I'm waving at Ray right now. JC, what have you been doing?
Oh, not too much, honestly. Just kind of following some of the news about Companion. I really like the mechanics, so it makes me sad. That it's all the things with it. Also, kind of working on doing a new art article. I'm actually targeting talking about the artists behind Black Lotus and seeing what they've been up to and things like that. So yeah.
Oh, okay, very cool. I did Brawl. We did Brawl with Brett yesterday, and I ran Lily's Kinnan deck, and that seems really good. Because when you can play Mana Dorks and then just keep playing Mana Dorks and keep a bunch of counter spells up, and like that's really, really strong. So
yeah, you were doing really well once you got into the groove of it. It's a complicated deck, and it involves one of your weak points.
What is one of my weak points?
Counting.
Oh God, I can't even argue with it. Fair enough. So yeah, did Brawl with Brett, had a very fun time. You can check out the VOD on the Twitch channel. I'm assuming you can. I think you can. Tam, can you? I think that's available.
Did you play any copyrighted music?
No.
Then you're good.
Awesome. So check out the VOD.
It should be out there for at least the next 60 days or something. Whatever. Twitch doesn't hold them forever.
Okay. Well, if you're interested at all, I had a good time playing that, so I do invite you to check that out. Other than that, we did a little bit of Webcam Commander, which was went really smoothly. We used Spell Table, which is a free app/website. You just sign into it on your phone. You can use your phone as a camera. You can use your webcam, and it
looked real good.
Yeah, it was super easy to use.
And like it literally, you can click on the card, and then it like just breaks down the screens, kind of like if you're watching the podcast, not unlike this. except there's a card lookup section, and you can click on the cards on your opponent's screens. And generally, as long as your lighting and your camera are okay, it'll pull the card up. And if it can't pull the card up because of the camera quality or whatever reason, you can even type it in, and then it saves a little log of all the stuff you've recently searched. So it went really smoothly. We knocked out 3 games of Commander in 2. Was it just 2? We had some good games we had an amount of Commander, and then I played the pre-cons here with Ray and Kat and Dan. So we had a good time getting to bash the pre-cons into each other. So a lot of Commander, and looking forward to probably more webcam Commander. So that's enough about me and my insistence on singleton formats. Let's talk about the breaking gist news. Dave, do you want to fill everyone in on the details?
On the companion stuff, correct?
Oh, I was going to say, so do we want to talk about the companion stuff? I was going to bring up this whole Bursavich thing.
Let's go and do Bursavich first then.
Okay.
So the short version on this one is pro player sorry. Someone else might want to go.
Okay. So I'll try. I've got a Star City Games article. So basically Austin Bursavich, he is a Grand Prix Dallas. I think he's on the pro tour. He's a pro, to the best of my knowledge. At the very least, a pretty serious Magic player. So the information came out that Wizards recently changed the upcoming pro tours. I believe they're the pro tours. Because of everything that's going on, they are going to be on Arena for the rest of the year. And that means the format is shifting to standard. So there was a Discord that official Wizards people had with the highest tier members of the pro tour. And this was discussed with them. And so they were made aware of this information about a week before it was officially announced. So either a pro or an amount of pros from this group leaked this information, or provided this information to it's Austin, right? I want to make sure I'm getting his name right. Yes, Austin. Yeah, to Austin Bursavich, and he released it to everybody and said, "Hey, this is the information. The pros have this. Everyone should have this, so people can test and prepare the formats and make sure their arenas clients are ready and have the collections they need and all this stuff." So Wizards reached out to him and was like, "Hey, this information wasn't made public yet. We don't like this information coming out because it could affect blah blah blah." They sent him kind of a sort of a standard corporation letter, and they're like, "Who told you this?" And he refused to answer that. He didn't give away his sources. And they banned him from Arena, from competitive play, from the DCI. They banned him, possibly a lifetime ban. Now, he can appeal.
Permanent ban is what they were saying, yeah.
Yeah, permanently banned because he didn't provide his sources. So people are pissed. I'm pissed. This is absurd.
Yeah. I just want to quote a article from thegamer.com that let's see. The details are still emerging about precisely what occurred, but it appears Wizards of the Coast provided its own Magic Pro League players with crucial information on the change in competitive format and used their standard non-disclosure agreements to ensure that non-MPL players would not be made aware of this information for weeks to come, which destroys any supposed competitive integrity in tournaments and comes to provide MPL players with a significant advantage.
Yeah. So I've been reading up on this. There's a couple, Brian Bromdwin and another pro were talking about how people are blowing this out of a bit of proportion. They're saying the argument is people don't generally start testing until like 3 weeks beforehand. Also, we're going to be getting a standard ban before this tournament fires off. So they're like, all testing's not going to matter that much. So they're trying to say this isn't a huge deal, but this is not a new thing that the highest tier pros get advantages that everybody else doesn't. And it's already hard enough to claw your way onto the Pro Tour general prize cuts. Prize cuts were another part of this. The prizes are going to be going down on these tournaments that they've had to shift the formats of, which is it's kind of its own thing. But this is not new that pros are getting a edge, and there's this idea that Wizards wants their pros to win. If someone that no one's heard about wins every tournament, it's harder to follow and it's harder to make it a big flashy esport. So you want personalities. And so that's something that Wizard Magic has struggled with and that they've tried to find solutions to. But it puts a really, really bad taste in my mouth that the highest tier players, the players that Wizards is incentivized, that the Wizards is rewarded if get information first.
I hate that argument. Like, look, if we're talking about how Magic isn't a pay-to-win game, then it is based on player skill, at least in large part, then the best players should be winning consistently enough to get press on their own without getting competitive advantages fed to them by the company that they are playing for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the idea that this is that someone who's trying to even the playing field for everyone is punished. That someone who loves this game and who's a grinder and who's trying to earn his way in there and who has the community outreach. I mean, and clearly there's people pissed off enough to leak the information to him. The intent of
because he didn't reveal his source. Like fuck, he isn't even like the one who leaked it in the first place. He just got it leaked to, and he's just it's so incensing. Like, I'm so mad at it.
It definitely makes it's definitely frustrating to think that his punishment is because he revealed information and wouldn't tell them where the leak's coming from their company. So it sounds like they might have a bigger problem than just this information getting out, but someone that is giving proprietary information to someone that shouldn't have it and then getting leaked to the public.
And I want to tread lightly here with what I'm about to say. This is a card game. But this is a whistleblower being punished. This is someone who's trying to do the right thing, and the big fucking corporate entity is going, no, we weren't ready to release that information, even though it helps this elite group of people that we want to win. You're not allowed to tell us that. And so, I mean, they can ban whoever they want from the DCI for whatever reason they want to. Doesn't mean it's reasonable, fair, right. Wizards has pissed me off a lot this week. In the pre-show, I kept saying unconscionable. It's bullshit.
Yeah, because
I'm riled.
So also the argument of this is just a card game. Like, fuck, this isn't like poker or something. How much money do we spend on these goddamn cards?
And there's a lot of money on the line. This is still 6 figures in prize winnings here. And so, like, even if BBD wants to sit around and say, oh, it's not that big of an advantage. Okay, maybe this one instance. Maybe if this particular instance isn't, which even still, the highest tier of like, you have to. If you had a paper deck, now you need an arena deck.
So now kind of what you're saying on this one is that it's not so much the information that we got this time, but what else aren't they giving to the public?
Yeah, this is a Discord. So they have a Discord. Right. Wizards and this premier tier of pros have this Discord. What else do they get? Like, I will understand the fact that, like, if Magic succeeds as an esport, it's good for everybody. We want Magic to succeed as an esport. But there are things you can do to encourage that, even if people creep in. Star City Games, before they limited, a while back, they had this, I'm totally blanking on the series name, but they did a good job they had this tournament series, and they would track the people who would do well, and they had people they would accent and people that they wanted to do well and wanted to encourage, but, like, as new players came in and started the climb, they'd start focusing on them. They'd tell their stories. Right. There was a pro tour where the coverage followed Reed Duke the entire time, right? And, like, that doesn't bother me. Like, that's creating a narrative. Reed Duke's Reed Duke is one of the most well-loved members of this community. So if you want to say, we need to figure out how to spin this into an esport, there's ways to doing this without providing competitive advantages to a tier of players.
Not literally being the bad guys on a season arc of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh my god, this is like bad Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Holy shit.
Like, I don't think Pegasus necessarily said someone couldn't play his game. He just sent him to the Shadow Realm instead, right?
So, Dave, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. You're saying that Pegasus has done less wrong than Wizards of the Coast? Because
I'm saying that Pegasus did nothing wrong.
Cam, I want you to weigh in on this. This is your area of...
I actually have a ton to say about the entire ordeal. Right?
Jump in, go.
Yeah, this seems very pertinent to your area of expertise.
I think that it's a mixed bag. And playing devil's advocate, like, there are plenty of competitors. I'm positive that if there was like a big, huge change to a format happening in baseball, LeBron James would know about it. Or not baseball, sorry, basketball. That fucking tells you everything.
LeBron might know about it too.
Right, well, sure. Like if you have these connections, it is something that you understand can happen, and it is you as a company to be like, all right, here are the people that I trust, here's who I'm letting this cat out of the bag for. And if LeBron James turns around and tells his shoe shiner, and his shoe shiner turns around and tells New York Times, like, that, fuck, dude, that happens. And as a company, if you decided to change the rules and tell these specific people, that's on you. That's not on the shoe shiner, right? Like, there's no journalistic integrity for this Austin guy unless he talked to Wizards directly, unless LeBron James talked to his shoe shiner and said, "Hey man, all of this that I'm telling you is off the record." In which case, LeBron and the shoe shiner have an issue, not the people who ran the basketball event, right?
Imagine banning the shoe shiner from all NBA games. Like, they can't. That shoe shiner can never attend an NBA game again because like they did this. Like, seriously.
I think that this might be more that the individual is not getting punished so much for releasing that information, but more for not revealing their source. The fact
Which is worse.
Yeah, which definitely is. But it from what it sounds like, they probably had some sort of arrangement of, look, either you tell us who told you this information and we plug the leak that our company has, or you don't get to play Magic until you decide you want to tell us.
I'm going to hear.
That's a shitty way to do it.
I'm reading a
they're
sentence.
still a private company.
This is the email that Watsy sent him. Your failure to... Okay. Thank you for providing your thoughts and concerns regarding Magic organized play. Your statement will be sent to the appropriate teams per your request. Your failure to cooperate with our investigation has resulted in your immediate suspension from the DCI, MTGO, and MTGA. These accounts have all been suspended until further notice. During this time, you may not participate in any Magic event as a player, organizer, volunteer, or staff. Any invitation to premier events you may have had at this time or may obtain during your suspension are revoked. If you would like to appeal our decision, please do so and reply to this email. Any petition regarding the suspension must include information pertinent to our investigation.
Good lord, they're not even pretending.
No, they aren't.
So this is interesting because, like, if we want to be treated seriously as a card game community, right? And we had somebody, let's pretend that this Austin guy was just slightly different. What if he was running a and this is like this is the best analogy I have. Like Kotaku from the video game world, right? They've got plenty of news sources, and they bust leaks. They hit spoils. Like there's plenty of information out there in the video game world. Like please don't go Google this, but you can essentially go find the entire plot of Last of Us 2, supposedly. And that, I mean, Kotaku had to report on that because the good people deserve to know. If this Austin guy found out this information, no matter how he found it out, and he told it to the good people, the company Wizards should not be reprimanding him. They should not tell people if they don't want the information to get
He didn't break an agreement. He didn't break a non-disclosure agreement.
100%.
I guess the only real difference then is I don't think that Austin is considered part of the press. Like, he tweeted this out from his personal account. Now, keep in mind, I still think it's bullshit that he got banned, and he shouldn't have been, but he doesn't get to, spin it as freedom of the press or anything like that.
So this isn't like a counterpoint, but this is some context here.
Mm-hmm.
WotC has always been like this. I'm remembering back when I was in high school, the MTG Salvation, the Rancor Elf stuff that was going on, like there were some playtest cards that got out that Rancor Elf was like one of the site admins, and like they came after him legally.
I mean, that's the other thing. If Austin had breached something, if he had broken the law to do this, a ban would make sense. He was provided this information from somebody who broke an NDA. That's not on Austin. This also wasn't for financial gain. This was to even the playing field. This was to try and repair a unfair situation that Wizards has created in the advantage of a select elite group of people. And this is go ahead, please.
So 2 points. One, a lot of people are talking about how this isn't that big of a deal. And I think to some degree, if you are a person that prefers to play in paper and you play in paper and you dabble in Arena and you don't have your Arena built up so much, it is an advantage to be told earlier rather than later to make sure that you have everything prepped for actually competing in a tournament on Arena. The second point I want to make is the freedom of the press angle. we have a president who reports most of his things on Twitter. We have like a narrative of social media press anymore. Like it's actually a thing that's actively going on in court and stuff like that about like who exactly is the press and who exactly is sources. But like if you're reporting news and it's really not for your personal gain or anything like that, and it is in the state of public discourse, I don't think that should be considered something that you fucked up and you did evil and you get to you deserve a ban.
I mean, it's the company's products, and they have all their things that say they're allowed to do this. But like, I think about how much money I put into my damn Arena account. He doesn't get to use that anymore. So that's likely hundreds of dollars and hours of his time in a game he loves gone because he did the right thing.
That's also one of my problems with the digital platform.
I mean, it's a reality. It's where ownership gets funny, and I don't want to go too far into this, but there is absolutely indication that insider trading goes on with Magic when
hell yeah.
certain people are given information about what cards are coming, and they are able to make purchases for monetary gain. And so insider trading is the line that's generally used. And Magic's not regulated. And I'm not saying the government needs to regulate this, but like, I just want to pitch, it's like, if someone here, and again, I'm not much of a sportsman either, but let's use the NFL example. So NFL stuff, when big crazy shit happens in the NFL, like sometimes the Senate gets involved, like for real. So like, if this had been certain teams were given information from the NFL that we're going to change the amount of players you can have on the field. Now they wouldn't do that, and maybe that's maybe the degree of competitive advantage, but it's a competitive advantage. So if one team was able to prepare for the next season, knowing that there's going to be a rule change in the game, and the other teams aren't, that might get congressional fucking investigation. That'd be a huge deal, even though it's a private company. And insider trading and manipulating money, stocks, like that's super illegal. But we're in this weird little card game economy that nobody pays attention to, and we're not a big deal. And so insider trading is wrong.
Brett, as far as this insider information for people knowing what cards to pick up before they spike in price and sell them off for a profit, are we talking about millions of dollars? Or are we talking about a few thousand? Now, a scam is a scam, right?
I mean, then maybe it's not millions. It could be over the long run, depending on the scale, but it's likely not.
Maybe. If that is the case,
figures, like 5 figures.
Yeah, it's still a scam, but I don't think that there is any sort of like umbrella way to regulate scams.
Right.
I'd be hard pressed to be able to point out every different individual scam you can work specifically with a collectible card game.
But I mean, this isn't necessarily reasonable, and I'm not saying we need congressional investigations into trading. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying isn't right on that scale, and it's not right on this scale. And sorry, go ahead.
It's also kind of a coincidence, frankly, that the secondary market works like a stock market.
I mean, yeah, it's the parallels are there, and at the very least, Wizards should be trying to regulate this in a reasonable way. What's up, JC?
Also, like, who is Wizards trying to be right now? Like, they are trying to be a professional esport. They are trying to make this big. If you are going to play like, you want to be a big deal, then, you kind of have to be held to the fire like you're a big fucking deal.
No, and Austin is someone, he has gotten results. He's trying. This is a player who has aspirations for this high tier of play. And so if you want, it sends the message, if you want to succeed here, you do what WotC says. Don't worry about what's right. Anything that pisses off Big Papa WotC, you better play ball or you can get fucked. You don't get to play our game. No, it's just, if this was done in any other arena, there would be outrage. If this was done at the NFL, imagine football fans whose team didn't get this insider information. They would be furious. Like the amount of vitriol that would be happening if this was the NFL or the NBA is massive. When insider trading happens, people go to jail. Now, I'm not saying people should go to jail for Magic insider trading, but this is stuff that pisses people off.
So as far as the difference between Magic and football, obviously the people that are into these things, but there are probably 4 or 5 at least channels that will run sports-related information, football-related information 24/7. The amount of exposure as far as that's concerned, you can't help but know about these things, even if you don't give two shits about football. As far as Magic goes, like, we're only going to know about it if we're Magic players and we're searching out this information. Like, it's still like, competitive play in particular is still really, really fringe. And I think most people that are competitive that know about this are really pissed off that this happened.
And I think something, I mean, and I talked about this a little in the pre-show with, this is where we need to make WotC look bad on social media, because that's how we get answers. Like, if you explain the scenario to anyone, I think people are going to say that's not fair, that's unreasonable, what the hell. I don't know if they're going to be mad, but there's certainly, I think the pretty standard response to finding out this information is, that's pretty shady, that seems unreasonable. So, like, this is not hard to explain to people. And so I think this is the time to make sure people hear about this. Because if there's enough social media stink and the higher ups at Hasbro start hearing, like, what's this about you banning somebody for trying to, like, provide information to people, that's when shit happens. And so,
also, like, Lily makes a good point too about, like, he can't play Arena anymore, and, like, how much money do you dump into that? And, like, there is a point of, like, if you're playing a lot of paper Magic, they can't come, like, break into your house and take away your cards.
Yeah,
but they did make it so we can never play in a sanctioned event again unless they change their mind.
Right, but also, like, WotC's admitted, like, multiple times through multiple people that, like, organized play is a smaller portion than non-organized play when it comes to paper Magic.
But that's also probably how Austin's
sure. Yeah,
hobby.
It hits him hard, especially.
No, like, so Wizards couldn't. I mean, if Wizards banned you from the DCI, it doesn't mean we can't come hang out and play Commander. But this is his. I don't think it's his career, but it's certainly his hobby, and it's the
can't right now due to COVID.
Just nail a copy of the comprehensive rules to the front of the door in Renton.
That's actually something I wanted to bring up. Is like
Martin Luthering Wizards.
No, I'm looking at the Star City Games article that you have, and it makes reference to the point that he is a Twitch streamer, right? Mm-hmm. And so this could be, what if this was his job moving in? This is supplementary income, and you look at the very top picture. I mean, he's got 2 kids, right?
Primary income.
All because he decided to level the playing field, all because he as a player was excited for this announcement and decided to let other people be excited for this announcement. If Wizards wants to be taken seriously, they have to, if they want to be considered a big company and they want to be a big esport, then they have to act like a big esport. Like, they just have to. And I'm not just saying Wizards, I'm saying card games in general. As somebody who has aspirations to, like, who has quit their main game to go across the country and try and commentate, this frustrates the heck out of me, just because of the fact of, like, the company is so iron-fisted about this really small thing. Like, it's super, super small.
Yeah.
As opposed to punishing this one player who found out, plug the leak at the top and it won't trickle down. Right?
Exactly.
Quit talking to the players, and then this guy who was friends with the players won't find out. Easy enough, right?
But that's the thing. I think that's one of the reasons why they're punishing him in particular, and why it's such a strict punishment as well. From what it sounds like with the email is, you are withholding information from this investigation, so we're going to suspend you in the interim. You let us know if you want to talk, which is, again, a shitty thing to do. But I think that's what they're trying to do by punishing him. Like, if you won't talk and tell us who leaked this information, who's in violation of their non-disclosure agreement, then this is what's going to happen.
So they either get their answer, or they do it's a public flogging. If you fuck with us, look what happens. We will take everything we are capable of taking away from you away.
It's a chilling effect.
Mm-hmm.
This is really interesting, because, like, let's flip the narrative on its head. Obviously, what I'm about to say is a fake scenario. It has not happened. We are a bit of a news show at this moment, and so I want to make that perfectly clear. This has not happened. Let's say that they switched the script. This guy is not under NDA from anybody, right? And they have completely and totally cut him off. What if they took everybody in that Discord that had actual access to the information and said, "You're all banned until the leak comes out and we figure out which one of you it is. None of you are playing."
All right. I want to go first. I think that group punishment like that is actually considered a war crime. So I'm not in favor of it.
That's a short, easy answer why they would never do that. It impacts their bottom line. It undercuts the narrative, the whole, like, experience they've been crafting with pro players, it undermines that. The whole reason they have this information. Like, the fundamental problem here is they're running into a problem that will arise from the scenario that they are trying to cultivate so that they can have pro player celebrities.
Mm-hmm. No, and so in some of the narrative, I just want to make sure that we do throw this in there. Part of the reason that they've said, my understanding on this discourse, the Discord exists, is they want to check with the highest tier of people to make sure they aren't making a really dumb mistake. So they're like, we need to have this kind of communication with people. So they're trying to avoid making huge mistakes. So you go to the most enfranchised players who have the huge community things and you ask them. And now if they would, and that's the thing, Wizards could have said, hey, we didn't want this information out. The reason they had this first was not for a competitive advantage. It was to make sure we weren't making a huge mistake. We're sorry it came out like this, and we're sorry people there feel there was a competitive disadvantage. Like, if they would have just came out and said that, I would have been like, looks a little shady, Wizards, but fine, whatever. That's at least a reason. But when you come out, with this iron-fisted, you dare share this information, Peon? It was not meant for your ears, and you will be banished from the realm. You come off looking like a mustache-twirling asshole, Watsy.
Also, what's the point of pulling your developers or play design, I guess is what it's called now, from pros if you're just going to go to pros anyway? Wasn't that the point of that?
I think it's less of a conflict of interest if they're asking them more about like the logistical things of like, hey, we want to do this for Grand Prix in the future. What do you think about this? What do you guys think about Pro Tours in the future? Since we know you're definitely going to be on the list of people that are invited to those as things stand right now, getting feedback that way. But if they're asking them like, hey, what do you guys think about this companion ability that's going to be coming out in 3 sets? Are you guys for it? This is how it works. This is a huge advantage compared to other people because we're going to tell you this stuff months ahead of time. Like, that's a huge conflict of interest. But if they're and something that should be best to use for the folks that they get off of the Pro Tour that have proven themselves. If it's like a logistical thing with the events.
So like WotC employees aren't allowed to participate in sanctioned events. And so, but this is a weird thing. So you've changed how the money flows in the Pro Tour. And so most of the money stays at the very tippy top. And then you give them extra information. They're kind of like employees, but they're employees who get to participate in your Pro Tours. Yeah. That seems really screwed up.
If I remember right, I think that the way that they worked it out for the whole pay the pros thing when they revamped the system, like the last huge overhaul, is they're functionally getting a salary. I think the salary is like 80,000 or something like that. You know, they had a much smaller number of pro players, but they all got taken care of essentially.
And it's this weird, like, if that's the whole point, like, and JC brought this up in the beginning of the topic, it's the point of this is anyone could be at the Pro Tour. That's the dream. That's the goal. If you want to do it, you can go to these events. You can get the points. Hell, you can get to the World Championship by just playing Arena in your basement. That's the whole point. That's the narrative they're giving us.
Little anime protagonist.
Yes.
We love that shit.
And so that's what they want to tell us, but then you have basically pseudo-employees getting fed information, and like, I don't want to sit here and say, what other information? And I don't want to talk about stuff that's not substantiated, but like, if they're getting information about cards first, I don't think that's a far-fetched idea. Some of the conversation I saw with BBD and another pro, I'm totally blanking on his name, on Reddit, there was some back and forth and it's saying someone accused pros of getting access to God books early and stuff like that, or because sometimes content creators get stuff previews early. So they're saying, some of these pros saying, I've never seen a God book. You're blowing this out of proportion. But
I just want to underscore something that Tam said that I feel is like so important. Like, at least this was a way this guy relieved stress and enjoyed his life and was a great hobby for him, at least. But more likely, this was part of his livelihood. And they took away his livelihood because he did the right thing.
Yeah, so as far as that goes, I mean, he wasn't necessarily an employee. It feels like this could be along the lines of cyclical unemployment, where they don't let him play this game anymore for on Twitch. There's still other options he can go. It's kind of shitty to say, well, yeah, go play Hearthstone, but play Hearthstone. You can play Shadowverse. There are a lot of comparable things, and if he's good at Magic, I'm fairly certain he's gonna have a leg up on a lot of average, beginning players on those other games.
But that's also that's a shitty message to be sending to Magic players. Play by our rules, or you can go play Hearthstone. Maybe I will.
Well, that might be what ends up happening there. If they want this to be an esport, and this is how this is how they're conducting things. If they're giving advanced warning to some players and not to others, and then when somebody points that out, they punish them. Then maybe Hearthstone's the way to go. Like, I still have a bad taste in my mouth from the shit that Blizzard pulled a while ago with the Hong Kong contests, but they're not the only game in town. Pun somewhat intended.
I mean, it's almost like corporations are your friends.
But
okay,
even still, like Wizards, like you're trying to do a cool thing, and this looks real bad.
Yeah, this looks you are the bad guy right now. You look like the villain. You are the villain. You are the villain in this scenario. Let's not say looks like. You are the villain.
It's literally a fucking card game anime plot.
Yeah. Is there any way that WotC can incorporate a human skull into their logo?
I mean,
it's propped up on a mound of human
the
skulls.
black symbol, right? The black dinosaurs, right?
Yeah, kind of. It's
fair enough.
It's in the lower jaw, but I always think it is. I just
One last thing to clarify before we move on. I did some digging, Dave, just because it was a big claim of them being paid by Wizards. I can't find anything from articles, but I can't find anything article-wise past or more recent than like 2018.
That might be outdated news too. But I thought that was one of the big things they had, that these folks are going to get paid.
I know that's also a 6-minute search, so I did not get to dive very deep.
Yeah,
but I have not seen anything very off the top.
To the best of my knowledge, the money is more focused at the top than it was. But again, I'm not a journalist, and so that would merit more investigating. And if you're riled about this and you want to more know, I would recommend you look. There are going to be sources where you can find this information, or somebody has found this. I don't want to. We've covered the main points of what's happening with Austin.
Just to be clear, you do a podcast over Magic the Gathering that's available on many public forums and report news. You're kind of a journalist.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Breathe it in, Brett.
On that upsetting note, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about something that is ideally less intense. So here's a quick word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
This week's sponsor is Nuclear Ink Custom Tattoo and Skate Shop. At Nuclear Ink, you will find a very inclusive environment with artists that share your interest in nerd culture and fandoms alike. Nuclear Ink prides themselves in being Omaha's premier all-custom tattoo shop. So if you're looking to get a custom tattoo, please check out Nuclear Ink here in Omaha, Nebraska. A link will be in the description down below. We're also sponsored by InkedGaming.com. Are you looking to get a custom playmat? Well, then we suggest you check out InkedGaming.com. They have custom playmats, dice bags, mouse pads, and so much more. They even recently added a stitch option to their playmat and mouse pads as well. Stop those frayed edges from happening. Inked Gaming lets you play your game with your style, and if you want to get 10% off of your entire order, use the code TCG University, all caps, no spaces at checkout, and help support us by customizing your game to your style. Cards Custom Builds. Are you into cosplay? Looking to get into cosplay? Do you want to show up to events dressed as your favorite character? Well, then Cards Custom Build can help. Cards Custom Build creates everything from cosplay accessories like props, trinkets, or weaponry, all the way up to full-blown costumes. Do you want to make a perfectly flowing cloth, or maybe want rigid battle armor? Cards Custom Build has you covered. The work is guaranteed to make you the talk of the con. So go over to Cards Custom Build on either Facebook or on their Etsy account. Links will be in the description down below. And make sure you mention TCG University to get 5% off your entire order. And lastly, the show is brought to you by Dex Protection. Dex Protection is on a never-ending pursuit to create the highest quality storage and protection accessories. Their design and innovation comes from die-hard gamers and collectors just like you. They're constantly taking in feedback from their customers, and they have no plans to stop their innovations or their drive to refine the products until they're recognized as a leader in their industry. They make terrific products, all with the avid gamer and collector in mind. So go ahead and check them out. The link will be in the description down below.
All right, welcome back. So we're going to keep the intensity rolling on this. We are going to talk about this is a rumor. So we're going to start with it. We're going to give you the rumor, what we have here, and then we're going to kind of talk about how this rumor, be it true or not, is going to be affects competitive Magic play and Magic events. JC or Dave or Lily, somebody who's not me, let's explain what we've got up
Sure.
on screen for the viewers.
All right, so as you can see in JC's window, we have a screen grab from someone's Discord. Somebody at Everyone and said, Channel Fireball events will be dissolved this year. I got that information firsthand from a venue that got the news from CBF events, so a friend of a friend told me, will not fulfill their contracts and obligations this year. We double-checked with people contracted by Channel Fireball, and they've confirmed that they will be out of a job soon. This will have a huge ripple effect, we believe, because this means zero competitive paper.
Talk about how this rumor, be it true or not, is going to be affects.
1 second, I think we've got desktop audio coming through.
JC or Dave or somebody.
We do. She knows. They let her know.
Okay.
Who is watching? Oh, we got that. All right. So, God, I was like hearing two of you. Like,
This is so bad. I'm so sorry. Is that what I've been doing to you all? I'm so sorry.
I'm a monster. Sorry, but have a huge ripple effect, we believe, because this means zero competitive paper events from Wizards this year for now. It's unclear if this is a combination of COVID-19 and or their contract being terminated. COVID-19 certainly didn't help. Channel Fireball, the card shop, is a separate entity and shouldn't be affected much, but this certainly means no events and no vendors buying cards. So that is wild speculation, first off. Just to be absolutely clear, but it does raise some kind of interesting questions. What do we feel if we went back to more of the old style where it wasn't these Grand Prix Magic Fests now weren't contracted out with one entity, and we started seeing venues like TCG Player and Star City Games and PES Events was another one that I think, or hell, Feral Events would be awesome. That guy has a tank. I'll talk about how cool Steve Farrell
University. That'd be cool.
TCG University, maybe.
And so just really quick, I want to make sure. So I think you mostly covered it there, but in case there's a viewer who's not as totally in the know, so Channel Fireball has the exclusive contract with Wizards to run Magic Fest. So like Dave said, used to be the Pro Tours, so big conventions with big tournaments. How you get into the Pro Tour, a big tournament scene, the only way to do it, the only way to have this was to be Channel Fireball. They signed a contract with WotC. So
correct. Then that was for, I don't know how long the contract was, but I swear to God they said it when they announced it, and I thought it was 2 years.
That sounds right. That seems to be the number that I saw come up when this was discussed. But again, I'm not positive on this. This getting shut down right now is just speculation. We have this source, which is it's a Discord screen grab, and as Dave said in the ad break, we could post this in our Discord, take the screenshot, and put it up. So we are not reporting this is definitely happening, but this is a very real thing that could be happening, and I think it merits asking about: are we okay with the idea that there's this some kind of exclusivity contract that you get to run the official Wizards event? Now, any store can say, hey, we're doing a Magic event, we're going to use Weir, we're going to use Event Reporter, but you don't get the support. You don't get the cards, the playmats, the WotC support unless you've got this kind of contract. So I'm uncomfortable by this because if it is just COVID and one bad thing happening, and because of that, this company goes under, and now we're just shit out of luck because WotC put their eggs in this basket and this basket broke due to uncontrollable and unforeseen circumstances. But
that's the thing, though. Even if they did have diversity with their event organizers, they would still run into the same problem. There would still be venues that didn't want to hold massive events. There would still be tournament organizers that didn't want to put their players at risk. And there would still be vendors that didn't want to chance it and set up a booth somewhere.
The load would be spread out. So let's say there were 4 Magic Fests scheduled for the rest of the year, and each one was a separate company. Now, each company is out 4 events and that expected profit, and that sucks. But one company being out 4 events might be a company shutting down level event.
It would depend on how big these companies are.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. This seems... we covered in this first thing, there just seems to be a lot of Wizards making deals, Wizards dealings. And now this obviously is not a shady deal that says, hey, we're making Channel Fireball events, we're doing this, this is how it's going to be. But it also puts a bad taste in my mouth. So I'm uncomfortable with this. How do you guys come down? Are you more okay with this, or is this something that also kind of bugs y'all?
I think organized play is a clusterfuck in general right now.
You just
judge program.
As far as having just one organizer running these events, I can kind of see that where they would like to have Grand Prix standardized, essentially, because I've been to certain events that have been ran very, very well, and you're never going to be on time. You're never going to have an event run on time. That's impossible. But I've definitely been at events that have ran 4 hours long. I've been there when it was only an hour. And obviously I preferred the events that ran an hour late as opposed to the ones running 3 hours late. I think Legion events is one that comes to mind that was notorious for always running behind. So yeah, I personally didn't really care. Like, I was fine with the Legion events, just took a little bit longer to have events go on. Okay, that's fine. I've been to a few of the Channel Fireball ones, and they ran about as well as could be expected. With as many people as they had going on, they really didn't run as late as some have in the past. So I kind of like the idea of having these standardized, so you know what to expect with the companies running it.
That being said, like, having a more networked approach does decrease the risk, because different areas are obviously being affected by COVID differently. There's different, like, shutdown orders in place, and there's different cancellations in place. I mean, even like if we had multi-country events or something like that, like it's being held in this country versus this country, or like moving it or something like that. This strikes a kind of a personal note. A lot of my job for a long time was underwriting like businesses, and I underwrote a lot of event organizers. And I remember talking to a lot of event organizers, arguing with them about how high risk their industry was, and they would tell me it's not. And I would say, yes, it is, because what if disasters?
What if quarantine?
Yeah.
Well, as far as the quarantine goes, I'd assume that obviously Channel Fireball Events is not making revenue because of this, specifically the events portion, because they can't run events. But as far as how much they're actually losing, I'm sure that there are certain entities that were willing to say, hey, you're going to get your deposit back for this. You don't owe us anything since you can't feasibly do this event. We don't want you to do an event here.
And deposits are one thing, but when you have a company, you say, we expect this level of income, and because we expect to have this level of income, we will hire people that we can pay, because when this comes in, we will be able to pay them. So even if the setup costs are gone, the vendors, the money that would be brought in via this, the concessions, any number of things, that's just gone. And I do want to throw another thing out, and again, this is I don't want to report this as fact because I don't know for sure, but I have also some people. This has been one of the two big things to talk about on Reddit recently, and people were discussing that Channel Fireball took it because nobody else wanted it. Star City has lowered their events. So it's quite possible that isn't like Wizards. This isn't necessarily some like shady scenario where Channel Fireball did all this stuff. They might have been the only person willing to do this because it is a lot of overhead. So we don't know for sure all the details here. So this isn't necessarily like an either or. This might have been WotC pitched. This is the way they happen, and Channel Fireball said, "Yeah, we'll do it."
So there's a good possibility that that's what happened, but it could be kind of both, right? It could be an instance where not a lot of people are interested in running these events, like Star City, some of the bigger entities, and Channel Fireball saw an opportunity where they could go, all right, WotC, well, we know that you're having trouble with this, and we want it. So how about a deal that's going to be mutually beneficial for both of us? We take all of them, you cut us a deal on it. That seems like it could have been pretty reasonable. Again, wild speculation as to what could have happened. So now all of a sudden, if we go away from the exclusive contract, which I did double check, and from what it said, they just referred to it as a multi-year contract. They didn't specify how many is multi. So
okay.
The point getting to on that is if they lose the exclusive deal with WotC, now for the Grand Prix when they want to do these, they want to choose out the cities, and then I think the way that it worked out is people put in bids for it. Like, people submitted to want to run these events, and then WotC chose from there.
Okay, and that tracks. And I'd also want to say that, like, I would agree with Lily's statement that organized plays a clusterfuck right now. However, yeah. Now, I do want to say the shift from Grand Prix to Magic Fest, I think, is a good one. I like the idea because they've kind of spun it into it's a Magic convention, and there's all sorts of stuff to do. There's vendors, there's side events, there's the command before all this was going on, the commander sections at these Magic Fests were wildly popular, and I think that's awesome. And everything I heard about the command zones was top notch. You would go in, you'd pay an amount, you'd get a promo card, and then you'd get badges that would demonstrate your level of competitiveness, and then they try to sort you into the right thing, and there was Brawl, and there was Oathbreaker, and there's these side things, and there was Room, and so they weren't just trying to serve the competitive players and kind of shunting everybody else. They're really saying, let's celebrate Paper Magic. We have these big competitive events. We have side events if you want to come grind prizes. We have Commander if you just want to come and play your favorite format here. So, like, there's certainly good changes, and there's things that I'm really happy they've done. But Lily brought up the judge program, and I do want to talk about that. So the judge program was, to the best of my knowledge on this, they kind of got into some hot water, and I believe legal action was taken against them because judges were being they were pseudo-Wizards employees,
Right.
who were being paid in Magic cards.
So they weren't. So they were doing work for the company, but they weren't getting paid.
Right. Being
And they-
paid in product. Oh boy.
And I have a background in work comp, and I don't know for sure there were work comp issues, but this seems like a nightmare for work comp. So if you get hurt and I'm judging a Magic event and I'm being compensated by this company and Wizards isn't paying my work comp, now I don't know if they are, so anyway, there was some legal issues, and so Wizards detached themselves from the judge program entirely. And we got what's up?
I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure that if they're not actually paying you physical money, like actual money, and they're giving you product instead, I think you're considered a volunteer instead.
And that could be. And so maybe that solved some of the issues. Now, there was enough of an issue that they broke off the judging program, and that's how we've ended up with the current Judge Academy, which is a separate entity that you pay to be a part of, and then you are given card rewards. But Wizards has decoupled themselves from that entity. And so now we have judging it's a whole thing. And I'm not an expert of this. If you've watched me play Magic, I'm not judge material. But
No, sorry, Sunny.
So, talking to the person that is judge material, there, Lily, what do you think?
I think I'm gonna have to get the fuck caught up on this stuff. So, like, I have been sort of divorced from this whole thing for a number of years. Like, I make a point of keeping up on the game, but I've never judged an event, right? I've never actually been like a registered judge or anything like that.
you passed the rules advisors test, right?
I did.
When that existed. I don't even think that's a thing anymore. But when that existed, you were able to be a rules advisor.
Right, I was. But then it was always like, I never really cared too much about the tournament procedure stuff. And that was always like the thing that was like, well, I don't know. This is dumb. I think what?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just laughing because that's the one part of it that interests me.
Okay.
No, I just thought that was funny. Ignore me. Continue.
I've got to get caught up on this shit because I think I am going to do it finally because whatever. I mean, I'll pay a yearly due. I don't care.
And my understanding is with the due you'll get very expensive cards that cancel out the due. Now, it's still one of those weird, you should pay people for their damn work.
Right.
And that's you can... Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Cards are still only worth what you can sell them for anyway. Like, so if they say, hey, we think that these cards are enough to compensate you for the effort that you put forth, that's still kind of bullshit. Like,
no, you should pay people for their work.
Yeah.
And that's one of the tricky things about not just the judge program, but kind of all this organized play is Wizards has been able to rely on the passion of its fan base. I mean, we're literally doing, now this has been a shit on Wizards episode, we're literally doing free advertisement for Magic the Gathering. I have a room with Magic stuff, look at the brand stuff. So we literally are just creating content for their game. Wizards is used to taking the passion of its fans and profiting off it, which is not, I mean, it's a complicated thing, but then we have to start looking at, you have to look at the business side. How are you doing these events? And how are you having people judge these events? And is it being fair? And are you being equitable? And I think in a lot of instances, no, or it's murky, or it's messy, and it leaves us in a weird place. And then we get slammed with an emergency and everything goes ass over tea kettle. And no, that's not anybody's fault, but we're left out in the lurch, and now we're trying to figure out what do Magic events and Paper look like for the next year, 2 years, and 3 years. What's happening? We just don't know.
Sorry, ass over tea kettles.
It's a good saying. Yeah.
It's no Jeezy Josie, but
I didn't. Ass over tea kettle is not my invention.
I can't say I've ever heard that colloquialism.
Really?
Not. Maybe I have, but it's
a thing. I will consult the nightmare rectangle.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm down to the notion of getting into the judge program. It seems like it's a whole damn thing, but we will see, surely.
And I'm actually really interested. That'd be a super fun kind of continuing topic to let the viewers know, hey, if you're interested in this, Lily's done it. And this is how you need to do. So that'd be a fun, either a topic or an article or even maybe just like some side videos. But that's definitely something I'd love to do if you're game.
Yeah, that suits me.
Give me 1 second, guys. I think we lost video.
Did we?
Yeah. Actually, keep going. I'll see if I can get it fixed.
Okay. Say again?
I assume we still have audio then?
I don't know, but either way, we can put the VOD up, so we can put the recording here up on the Patreon. So we might have a hiccup in the live thing, but we don't want to have dead air for the live show or the main show. So I realize this has been Brett's soapbox episode. Does anyone have? I want to make sure
all of them.
This has been a more than regular amount of Brett's soapbox episodes, so I want to make sure if anyone has any other thoughts or ideas, we on this topic, we get them out there.
Yes. So, as far as the speculation goes, that potentially another vendor could start running these again. At least to add into what you're saying with the judge program, it feels like anyone that might have been on the cusp of becoming a judge, it sounds like now is probably the time to do that. To get yourself in a position where, if this is the case, a lot of these vendors, they're not going to have like in-house judges or anything like that. I'm sure that there are resources that they could use, and it's certainly something, at least locally here in Omaha, it feels like we've just almost always been at a shortage for judges. I know at least one of my friends that is a judge, she just doesn't do that anymore. Like, she just doesn't play Magic anymore. Doesn't have the time, doesn't have the interest, doesn't want to be compensated with a box and an Arby's sandwich, but that's not really helping my.
Are there a shortage of judges in Omaha?
Right? Sorry?
Are there a shortage of judges in Omaha?
L2s, L3s is my understanding. That was the case a while ago. I mean, I'm sure, like, for a lot of the events, like if you did like a cash tournament or something like that, you don't necessarily need to have an L2. You'd want one for PTQ or something like that, but you don't need them for the cash tournaments that have gone on. But they certainly help. I would much rather play in a 1K or a 5K that has an L2 or an L3 than someone that runs a store and that's it.
Yeah. And I'm not throwing
shade on people, but
no, and I don't want to name and shame, but I have seen events where judge calls were just wrong. I've seen it where it was wrong, and I knew it was
very
wrong.
frustrating.
But as a side person, it's like, I can't, like, this is not my play. Like, a judge has made a ruling in the tournament. I don't get a butt in and go, well, actually, but like, I've seen it happen. And so I would be thrilled to have you judging any event I was playing in, Lily. Like, you know this game really fucking well.
I am rarely wrong.
About Magic the Gathering.
In general.
And humble. Don't forget the humble part.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I have to. I don't know.
No, I think that's a great idea.
Accept my vile fate.
And I think Dave's right. I think now's a great time to do it, because we're gonna be going into a new. I mean, maybe this information about potentially, maybe, and like we want to stress that maybe this whole Channel Fireball event shutting down is not true, and it's just a temporary cancel. Well, short-term cancellations due to COVID. But when this is all shaken out, and when we're past this hell year, what organized play looks like is potentially going to be very different in the coming years. And if you want to be involved in that, I think the judge program is potentially a good way to do that. Even with the everything we've thrown out there. And I think we need to take it as some place that store organizers might actually watch the show. And if they do, and I think we need to keep us personally and just as a community this narrative that we need to compensate our TOs and our judges appropriately for their time. We need to give people fair wages and treat them like the employees that they are functioning as in these scenarios. Even if they're contract employees or employees, they need to be fairly paid for their labor. All righty. Does anyone have any final thoughts we want to add? Anything else before we wrap the show up?
Just with all the sportsisms, I can't imagine paying referees with tickets to games instead of like actual paying them.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely not. Although I'm sure referees in a lot of tiers outside of the pro level are probably not treated as well as they
Right.
ought to be.
Probably.
No, I remember my dad used to coach Little League football, and the refs that did that stuff were all just volunteers with the league. Like,
No, so I mean, and that's the thing. It's so easy to prey on passionate people who love something. And I think we just need to make sure we have a firm narrative in Magic and in anything that people's time and people's work is worth something. And just because you can say, whoa, you love the thing, though. It's like, yes, so what? Your time's still valuable.
Sure.
It's one of the most limited resources you've got. So, no, I think that's an important narrative to.
I think it's a good indication that people don't necessarily need to be financially compensated if they are otherwise taken care of to be productive and do things that are beneficial to society. But I don't want to go on a UBI rant right now, so I'm not gonna.
Okay, any more Magic stuff before we say goodbye to everybody and move on to the post show?
Just one quick thing, because I don't know if we've said it enough. It looks like Companion was a mistake, and we get an announcement on the 1st. So,
yeah,
yay.
next coming Monday, something's happening, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in the post show. So we're going to wrap things up here. We're going to say goodbye to everybody on the main show. Invite you to check out the post show, even if you're checking this out on YouTube. We should have the video available to our Patreons. So $1 on the Patreon once a month. That's all it takes to get the pre and the post show, where we had a really good, angry, intense, important conversation in the pre-show. And let's go talk about some companions. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Stay safe out there, and we will catch you next week. And make sure to remember who you are.